This program is brought to you by the Media Liberty Alliance Foundation in cooperation with OBBM Network TV, bringing citizen-led, creative local media to the forefront of local communities to foster a greater understanding of constitutional liberty and appreciation of what makes us truly free, starting with you and me.
The Zach Rateliff Show is brought to you by Mortgage Financial in Texarkana, Exceed Health Clinic on Mull Drive in Texarkana, Elmwood Custom Goods, and Church on the Rock, Texarkana. That's churchontherock.org.
Todd Starnes makes serious accusations against California. He says voters can register using gym membership, insurance, or debit cards and are blocking a federal audit of its voter rolls. If true, they need to listen to Moses and select capable, honest men who fear God and hate bribes. Lying and cheating may work for a while, but the Bible says God will honor honesty and integrity. I'm Pastor John Miller. Visit me at churchontherock.org.
Hello and welcome to the Zach Rateliff Show. I'm Zach. This is Susan Hamilton.
How you doing?
What's up? How are you? Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Wow, it was kind of an impromptu meeting this morning. We're both in Texarkana, and you just happened to be starting your show. So I thought, well,
You know, that's the way it goes. I was working on a tractor this morning and getting ready to do some bush hogging and all that, and then just, tried to get that done before it got over 100.
I know you have to do everything so early. Yeah.
Yeah, and so then got back and then got a call that you were already in town, which hella early for a 6:00 meeting tonight.
I know, but it's like 4 hours drive from Dallas, and
Yeah.
it just made sense to kind of be here and then just work.
Right.
And then drive back so my eyes can handle that drive going back. There's no lights on Highway 30, but
No, it's just straight shot.
It's a dark highway, so
Yeah.
I want my eyes nice and relaxed.
Especially once you go, from here to Sulphur Springs, there's nothing.
Mm-mm.
I mean, it's just, it's Texas for that stretch of it. Okay, introduce yourself, tell everybody who you are, and we'll see what you got going.
Susan Hamilton. I'm with the OBBM Network TV. So you probably, if you're hearing the Zach Rateliff Show, you probably watch OBBM Network TV. That would be cool.
Yeah.
But one thing that we really need to stress is the need for hyper-local channel development across this country, because our First Amendment rights are not protected by the government. They should be,
Right.
or a large corporate narrative. They don't give us that. And for the first time, we actually have the right to do that and the tools to do that
Right.
in our local communities. So we are busy building out and learning just what it takes for that technology and the automations to be able to do this, so that we've got 24/7 streams and actual programming content that suits that hyper local community all over the country. We've got 152 channels right now.
I mean, it's been an awesome part for you guys bringing me on. Then just already the different shows that I've been on, in where Pennsylvania and was the other one in Wisconsin?
Oh yeah, Shara, Dr. John Shara.
Yeah, and so just already making these connections of people that have the same beliefs and saying, hey, we're not outnumbered. We're still Christian conservatives are still running the show. We just have to be heard and be allowed to be heard.
We haven't been running the show,
Right?
And that's the problem. What happens is you get whenever you abdicate your position of authority, somebody else is going to take it.
Uh-huh.
That's just a given, and we've got it. That that as a father, right?
Yeah, that's right.
You know that as a mother.
Yeah.
You know that as a volunteer in the community, or somebody that's if you're serving with your church. It really doesn't matter what you're doing with your world.
Right.
Your participation is pretty much mandatory, and we've been kind of lulled into this idea that somebody else is taking care of us, all that big stuff. And now that we've started waking up, it's the idea that, wait a minute, that big stuff is bigger than you.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, the silent majority. That's what we can no longer be silent, just like yours, because there are idiots running things for us. and turns out
that's a problem. And I even thought about this if it wasn't for, it was during the Obama administration. I don't remember exactly what year, when they tried to shove the net neutrality stuff down our throat. Had they passed net neutrality and had Elon not been able to acquire Twitter, this would be a completely different media landscape. And as far as net neutrality for something like the OBBM network, it would be almost impossible.
It's interesting what he did do, though. Remember, at that under President Obama, we gave the media like the lawful right through codes to actually use propaganda around, against its own citizens.
That's right.
Very first time ever. But I don't believe that's the very first time ever, but it's the first time it was codified.
Yes.
It was the first time it was codified that they were able to do that. No, it's been going on a long time. And I think we know it. I think we're waking up to realizing that there's been so much going on with our history, and we've got questions, and you should ask them. You should ask them, because they're busy destroying books, and they're busy teaching our kids to pick up a phone and ask Google. Have you noticed, parents, that it really doesn't matter what you say? They're going to verify it with Google, and they're being taught that in school. And it's like, well, you can't have this. That turns this into God right here. It's not just a word processor or a dictionary or a search. And if we can relegate it to those positions, it's a great tool, and we ought to use it. But if we start giving it this God space, like, wait, it's going to verify facts for you.
That's a scary.
Now you got a situation where, when my grandkids were little, I've got two of my grandkids live with me, and they're just so fun. And when they're little, to get them excited about language and about words, I would take out the encyclopedias and I would bring out like the B. The B encyclopedia is like the best book for a grandparent, and a toddler, because you can put it on the table. It's butterflies and it's birds, and look how many of them.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, wow. There's all, and it kind of gets them looking at what are these things, and the range of it. And there's something a book gives you that computer just can't give you.
Yeah, I'm a reader, and even in my truck, because I talk about politics a lot, and so if I'm not listening to, I listen to different podcasts, but like biblical podcasts really. But if I listen to a lot of Audible, so even though I'm not reading the book, I'm listening to it, because it just. So I can see what you're saying with B is all I'm saying, because I enjoy reading, and being able to think for myself, which is also what you're doing when you teach your grandkid with a book. Here's all these things that you can think about, that you can process, that you don't need. Well, and even to that point, my daughter came home from school year before last, and she goes, well, and she's got a heart of gold, like any little girl is supposed to, right? And of course, I'm the dad, so of course I think she's just perfect, and I understand that she's my kid, so there's a bias there. But yeah, right. What? And so she goes, well, I had to tell my teacher the truth today, and I go, it's a dangerous statement coming from a third grader, And I'm like, what is it? She goes, well, they started telling us about global warming, and I just had to tell them how they were wrong. And I'm like, okay. And so I said, where? She goes, I just told them my dad said that it didn't matter what y'all told me because it was a lie and that's not real. I'm like, you know what? I appreciate that you're hearing them and thinking about it enough to say, hey, this doesn't sound right based on what we've actually been taught in the home, which is why you need to be in books and have a media source you can trust and have a network you can go to that actually tells the truth.
Think about how quickly that changes. Now, my oldest granddaughter is starting middle school next year. And so the other day she was sitting in the kitchen with her dad, and she was saying, ice is bad. Ice is terrible. She just needs to shut down ice. I thought, what's this coming out of my precious granddaughter?
Yeah, right.
What's all that? And I said, well, honey, what are you talking about? She goes, well, look, it's saying it right here on her phone. She's in her, and dad hadn't had a chance to respond yet. And I said, honey, do you know what ICE is?
Right.
No. I said, well, that's, immigration control. I said, I said, every country has rules for coming into their country.
Right.
You don't get to just go into any other country in the entire world and just set up shop there. Yeah. And this is where I live. This is where I work. I'm going to, and go in and bring where I came from, that culture, and just bring that in and be that in that country. You're going to, when in Rome,
Yeah, that's why that's a saying.
And so as I'm telling her that, she's like, yeah, and my other grandparents, because we are in agreement on everything.
Which
So
is
thank
helpful.
God she's got two sets of grandparents that are pretty firm in who we are as a country
Right.
and as a people of God. And so she gets to hear that. And it was interesting that I heard that before. And she said, but nobody in my school believes that, Grandma. Nobody. They hate ICE. They hate everything about it. And I said, well, darling, what are you going to say? Are you going to do anything about that? And she goes, oh, no, I will. So at third grade, she would have. Now we're going into middle school and she's going, man, I don't know that I want to be the person that is opposing everybody else. So you got this short window to be able to empower them to speak like that. And one of the projects I gave her this summer, she's not completed yet, but I said, here's the Constitution. I have the constitutions all over the house. I read the New American, thenewamerican.com.
Yeah.
I'm telling you that last edition over the 250 our anniversary. That was the best. That's my Bible study. I am just so dedicated to making sure I can speak like that. That is so wise. How, when we look at the founding of our nation, we had to convince people. I didn't know that. I really didn't. I had a different idea of what it looked like as colonies. Oh, we were British colonies.
Yeah. We were British citizens.
We were, yeah. So we didn't. I don't know where that disconnect was for me, but to understand that, to help others understand what liberty meant and what it looks like as opposed to tyranny, they had to get together in small groups. Well, like your men's group, like your women's group, like, you had to get together and actually have these committees and share that information. We're there today. And that's one of the reasons why how we represent ourselves in media is so important. I think I told you, my oldest daughter, I got to see her promoted to Master Sergeant on the USS Midway this February.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
So fabulous. But her very first tour overseas, she says, Mom, you don't realize why they look at us like that. They think we're the devil because they see like Miley Cyrus on the stage and they see us fighting, and they see these things in media that make us look like we call ourselves a nation under God.
Right.
Like, oh, wow, what blasphemy. And it's like, we have a responsibility. And today we can take it back. We can be the responsibility in this place in entertainment and in educational things and fun things, where this idea that wanting your nation to be successful and wanting to be a free society and wanting to trust your God, which was the whole idea. Come here and pray. You have this right to worship the way you want to worship, and actually anybody can here. And if you don't do that, if we don't start living that lifestyle out loud, we're not taking the seats in our local city councils or county commissioners. You can't trust them at state and you can't trust them at federal. But if you don't turn it around on local right now, this is your last hurrah, sweetheart. Right. This is it.
Yeah. We need to control everything that's tangible to control and then move that up, not have it be dictated down to us. Yes. To your point about culture, the best thing that's happened to us in my lifetime probably is the World Cup coming here this year, because all of a sudden, all these people from all around the world were here, and they're like, wait a second. The portrayal that I've seen of you through the media is not accurate. You people are nice. This place is great. I don't want to go home. I like where I am. Oh my gosh, y'all do believe in God. Oh my gosh, it is truly free. And so all of that, and now all of a sudden, it was like a big slap in the face to the political machine, to the media machine hey, it made so much more sense to me that's why they have to smear us so much, because once people get a taste of it, it's like, oh, this is a great place. And then to your point about the colonies, you had to be in the different groups and everything. Less than 30% of the population supported the revolution. So it wasn't like everybody's like, oh yeah, let's be free. No, most people are like, no, don't tip the cart. Like, this is a horrible idea.
Well, it's horrifying, and you see that today across the country. You see that today with decent people that are, whether they're going to church or not, people that are just peaceful people. Right. We've been peaceful a little too long. The kingdom of heaven has been, we're going to have to take it by force.
Ephesians 6 on this thing.
And I'm not I don't want that to be taken out of context. What I'm saying is we are sitting back and allowing, like you said, that use the phrase, having our world dictated to us by people that do not respect the Constitution. They've never learned it.
Right.
And part of that is we've allowed the municipal league and different state municipal leagues. I've learned to watch for the word league. Not sure that's something that we want to absorb, because when we start getting into that, I mean, it's a control mechanism that has to do with insurance, that has to do with training citizens. So you, even on your city charter reviews, they tend to be people that have gone through these programs, these leadership programs.
Right.
And which I'll tell you what, that's what burns me even about the Republican Party, is this idea, the Leadership Institute, and everything about it is lead. And I just want to find out who wrote that and pop them in the head.
Usually
there's nothing in there that says representative. You're not teaching Republicans how to represent.
Right.
It makes me, I took the course for the whole, what's all that lingo that you use when you're a delegate?
Oh, parliamentarian?
Yeah, but it's the book of
Robert's Rules of Order.
Robert's Rules of Order. But that whole, so I wanted to learn that and see how it was used. It was so executed well by Woody Huffines.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, dude, I really I'd never seen it so fun. It's to watch him in action on that. But there's a reason for it. There's a place for it. And had I not seen that, I wouldn't have known it. But
it's a useful tool.
Sure, but I learned it through the Liberty Institute, and I'm sure that there's a lot of great people there. But I'm sure I'm sure they're feeling like so many of us, like, who's leading this? We have no leadership. Truly, if we've got one person, maybe 3 or 4 that are standing in our federal government that are showing us an example right now of what it means to say no, of what it looks like to say, oh, forget it. And the rest of the world and the rest of the United States is going, Constitution, whether they have an accurate understanding of that or an inaccurate understanding of that.
Most of them only know enough to be dangerous.
But we have not been under the Constitution. That's why he can do what he can do, because we have not been operating under the Constitution for decades.
See,
we've only been outside of emergency orders 3 years of our entire existence as a nation. And when you're in executive order, or not executive order, but emergency orders, you're into that. The Constitution, the only way that Constitution's enforced, we the people, is when we the people start to we the people.
That's right. I've been saying it for 3 years now. We are now post-constitutional. We have been post-constitutional. So everybody, the majority of things we accept, not expect, but accept, are not constitutional.
Right.
The way, even from the how the government's funded to every step of the way.
That education, you understand what happened with when we started doging that, when we started saying, okay, what can we do? What can we find out? And we got some investigative tools in there, for the first time ever, the same tools they've been using on us to manipulate us for years. Those weren't new tools. They could have done this at any time. We got in there and we did this. And we started finding out that, all that censorship that was going on, you understand what the Trusted News Initiative was. That Trusted News Initiative, I didn't even learn about it until Peter McCullough said it when I had a show and he was on my show. Right. And he's like, that's what the whole, they said there's out of the BBC that controls Al Jazeera, the Reuters, API, all of our news sources and the entire globe, just like BlackRock, the entire pensions of every government across the globe. What kind of control mechanism is this when you've got the media and you got the money? And those things are really the playing. And then to find out when we doged our own government that our USAID paid for that.
So, and then look what happened. USAID goes away, and they're suing. The Democrats are suing to bring it back, by the way.
Where else can you hide money? There's the biggest bunch of grifters you ever seen in your life.
That's exactly, because now the Democrat Party's broke. Now all these socialist dictators of Latin America are broke because USAID has failed. The wheels are falling off, and it's like, here's my problem with Republicans. The majority of them are cowards. However, and this is the difference. Democrats, I don't agree with anything they stand for, but I respect the fact that if you listen to them, they'll tell you what they're going to do. Now they'll put some fancy language on it. Yeah. They'll dress it up and make it pretty, but they're going to tell you we're socialists, we're the Democratic Socialists of America, and we're going to take over, and we don't believe in private property, and we just want a standard minimum wage, and the government just needs to run your life. That, if you listen, that's what they're telling you. So I'm like, okay, I appreciate you letting us know who we're fighting.
Right. I recognize now what this is. But the idea that we have a two-party system has been foolishness anyway.
Oh, yeah.
And
We're
so
well past that.
But I didn't understand until I started watching Donna Brandenburg running for governor in Michigan. And because of what we do, because we can get hyper local media
Which
and
is
voices
great.
in communities across this country. And it's not just television, it's television, digital magazines, it's podcasts, it's we've got our own music tracks now. There is no reason we cannot take this position in media today and give it back to the people and start understanding things. Other parties simply don't work the same way. So when you hear a community say, well, I've never heard of that person before, it's okay to say, well, this is how this party actually operates. Well, yeah, why don't you meet this person and see? And when you start listening to it, you start going, I think in your heart, if we don't start paying attention, we've idolized parties and party rule instead of looking at, okay, what is God telling us to do here? And if we are aware of his kids, I mean, he is actually going to tell us what to do. And now that we see what it looks like to say no, what it looks like to resist, what it looks like to say, because Trump has done a fabulous job of putting everything in the spotlight, just shoving it right there where you got to see it.
You go.
And it leaves it to us that are going, wait a minute, that doesn't look like liberty either.
Right.
Now we can go and say, all right, now we can organize on this level and go, how do we solve that? That's the only way you have a free republic, is if you get back down to the nitty gritty and you kind of, that's not kind of anything. It's this matter of integrity, of stepping up into a place where you're willing to take that position you don't want to take. You don't want to work you don't want to be on the city council. But there are so many positions out there that are even uncontested on both sides. You better get your butt in there, because there's a whole group of people in America right now that want those seats, and they're taking them.
And those people, I think most of them, I think that some of them maybe believe they're doing good.
A lot of them are not American.
Yeah.
And they're here on an H-1B.
Especially in Texas.
Right.
I mean,
It's not the only type of visa you can come in on. There's like 12 different visas that people are here on right now, where they get it's a tax advantage to actually use them for employment and take advantage of. We're in a foolish situation. Right
talking
now.
about that, I sold a commercial property to a guy last year. I tell you what, let's go to break. And then I'll finish the story and tie it back to this H-1B thing.
Okay.
All right, everybody. We'll be right back.
The Zach Rateliff Show is brought to you by Mortgage Financial in Texarkana, Exceed Health Clinic on Mullen Drive in Texarkana, Elmwood Custom Goods, and Church on the Rock, Texarkana. That's churchontherock.org.
At the Texas Democrat Convention, Ben Flores defended Senate candidate James Tallarico. He said, when they say James is going to hell, we'll say we're all going to hell. He was trying to foster party unity, but why would anyone align themselves with hell for political power? Jesus said hell is real and is a place of eternal terror and perpetual pain. No candidate or party is worth that allegiance. I'm Pastor John Miller. Visit me at churchontherock.org.
This program is brought to you by the Media Liberty Alliance Foundation in cooperation with OBBM Network TV, bringing citizen-led, creative local media to the forefront of local communities to foster a greater understanding of constitutional liberty and appreciation of what makes us truly free, starting with you and me.
The Zach Rateliff Show is brought to you by Mortgage Financial in Texarkana, Exceed Health Clinic on Mullen Drive in Texarkana, Elmwood Custom Goods, and Church on the Rock, Texarkana. That's churchontherock.org.
Todd Starnes makes serious accusations against California. He says voters can register using gym membership, insurance, or debit cards, and are blocking a federal audit of its voter rolls. If true, they need to listen to Moses and select capable, honest men who fear God and hate bribes. Lying and cheating may work for a while, but the Bible says God will honor honesty and integrity. I'm Pastor John Miller. Visit me at churchontherock.org.
Hello and welcome to the Zach Rateliff Show. I'm Zach.
I'm Dale.
Good to see y'all, or for y'all to see us, I guess.
I guess.
Yeah. Well, you know what, Dale? Thank God for another day alive.
Absolutely.
You know,
It's a hot day.
it's warm. You know, I started out this morning around 8. One of the properties that I'm selling, meeting surveyors out there, and there's a pin in the northwest corner of that joker down a pretty good slope and in the bottom of a barbed wire blackberry brush, you know, and I'm like, I just need y'all to know where I need you to start.
The joys of rural real estate, right?
And hey, that's why I am a national award winning
There you go.
real estate agent, you know. But down there, and the guy's like, of course, you know me, I'm wearing shorts most of the time, but I have my boots on.
Sounds like running through the briars and the rabbits where a rabbit wouldn't go. You know, the old Willie Horton song.
Yeah, that's right. But you know, I keep my boots in the truck.
Yeah.
And so he's like, I'm like,
You gotta.
you gotta have boots in the truck.
Yeah.
And jump out, make it happen. Then the client there comes out and a cup of coffee on the tailgate, you know, in the shade, early, you know. But that's rural. That's rural living. That's what we're about here, and that's what you talk about on your Less Austin, More Texas program,
Right. Rural versus urban perspective on Texas politics.
Yeah, and so, you know, but I sat down on the tailgate there and was talking to him, and so, you know what, God, thank you for this. Thank you for having to come do this. Thank you for being here. You know, just went through all the things, because, you know, there's things we could all get aggravated about, but, you know, in the end, thank God.
Yeah, I mean, you had probably a better morning than I did, because I had to go sit through a commissioner's court here in Bowie County.
No.
And then right after that, I went and dumped my lawnmower off at the repair shop, because that thing quit working on me.
Nice.
So it's like, you know, that's just the thing it is living out here in the country. You know, it's like
that's part of it. And my daughter was on a collaboration phone call for this little company that she's got trying to get going, that's sell these squishies, and then they're making homemade slime. Well, the miracle of the internet, of course, we're vetting anyone she talks to, but there's another family out of like Minnesota that it kind of got hooked up with, and so she was talking to them this morning, and the girl said something about Costco, and Nori goes, I've never been to a Costco, and I heard the girl go, do what? And she goes, Dad, have you ever been there? And I go, actually, I have not ever been to a Costco. I've driven past a bunch of them when I just always had a Sam's membership, so I just didn't have any reason to go. And so, but that's rural living. That's where we are. And so, you know, but then you get down to, are we that different from everywhere else in the country? And I think this weekend showed us that we aren't. We had the county executive committee meeting for the Bowie County Republican Party. Everything was followed by the law, and, you know, due to that, it came.
Was it?
As far I
mean, the process, because I was there too, and I saw the process working, but, you know, they were out of sequence. They didn't do things correctly.
Well, I think that's a lack of knowledge of Robert's Rules of Order.
Right.
Is what they came down. But it was interesting to see the way the county worked, and the way all that happened. And I just took it as a learning experience, what to know for next time.
Well, you know, one of the things that struck me was there was 22 precinct chairs there for the executive committee, and that's probably the most I've ever seen at a Bowie County Republican Party.
Well, that's good.
Meeting in the first place.
They had an issue to vote against.
But the part that I was disturbed about was there's only 4 people in the guest section,
including you,
including me. You know, and it's like, you know, people need to be more involved. You know, because these are precinct chairs. They're elected positions. County chairs, elected position. I see hundreds of people against these data centers and such, but they don't even pay attention to their own party, who should be championing the legislation and these laws and protecting folk, you know, regular rural folks. They don't even pay any attention to them.
Right. You know, yeah. If you were, you know, right down I started to say hall, the shopping center here on a Thursday night here lately, you can go catch anywhere from 100 to 150 people just railing about these data centers. And, but if and that's on a Tuesday work night.
And they're not activists. I mean,
no.
there's maybe like 15 people I know that stay involved in politics. The rest of them are just regular people
Yeah.
that are just concerned and upset.
But if they knew that, hey, you could have been at this place and talked to the people who you actually voted for to go expect them to implement change or make your voice heard, because that's what that job is.
Right. I mean, you've got people up there, they're getting information about data centers, they're talking about it. And what we do is we have the Democrat state rep candidate, we have the Republican state rep candidate. They're both showing up at these meetings,
Yeah.
but there's no Bowie County Republican Party representative there. There's no Bowie County Democrat Party representative there. There's nobody from local government there. There's no mayors. There's no
Have the mayors not been?
commissioners. Not any I've seen, you know, and it's, you know, it's like this is the voice of the people.
Yeah.
And nobody's paying attention to what they're saying. Now, in commissioner's court this morning, I attended, you know, again, nobody else but the commissioners and the regular people. And I'm thinking,
How many people did I know that were there? Probably a few.
you probably knew, well, you know everybody, so you probably knew 50 people. But,
You know, that's accurate. But that you know that I know.
okay, well, there was probably about 5 people there
Okay. Yeah.
that we knew together.
The usual suspects.
Yeah, the usual suspects. But there was like 50 people. They're not even holding the commissioner's court in the commissioner court room. They have to move to the central grand jury room in order to accommodate all the people who were there.
That's how many showed up.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
I didn't realize that.
it was 80 2 weeks ago. There's about 50 this week, you know, but still a lot of people are in there.
It's good to see people.
And
you know,
they're
that's
telling-
representative republic.
And now you've got commissioners going, well, we hope you people can put enough pressure on the governor to stop these things, you know, because they're saying, well, we don't have any power. We can't do anything. And, you know, even though they're up there saying you can do this, you can do that, you know, you can work with the noise ordinances.
Yeah.
You know, you can do road ordinances. You have plenty of things you can do. You're just not doing it. You want somebody else to come do it for you.
You know, well, it's a scary thing, right? And I'm not sure why it's scary. And it's in whatever type of government that you're dealing with is, what are we going to do with these people? Who are we making happy? Right. And not saying that our commissioners are acting in any unsavory way or anyone else, but just, you have to answer to the people, but then you have to answer to other people. And I don't know how else to put that you're dealing with every day and that you're working with every day.
True enough. I mean,
Yeah, you're good.
okay, that's good.
Do you need more volume?
Yeah, I probably do. They have lots of different constituents. Yeah, that'll work. That are, you know, not just, you blew my ears out. Yeah. Okay. All right. We're good. Don't touch it. Anyway.
Well,
yeah.
let me just explain to everybody what was happening. We were messing with the cables the other day, so I wasn't sure which one my volume was on. So I had mine down, so I was trying to find it, and then
He's turning me down. He's turning me up.
I'm being very distracting. Anyway, go ahead.
Anyway, you know, it's not just, you know, Joe Q public out there that they have to deal with. They have to deal with business leaders and such.
Right.
And, you know, making sure that the economy of the county is working well and all this other stuff. But, you know, it's one of those things where we always seem like we're last in line,
Mm-hmm.
you know, John Q public.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not that they don't recognize what we're saying. It's just we're kind of the afterthought. And then when they see that we're upset and such, they're like, well, what are we going to do about it? You know,
Yeah.
it's really frustrating to regular people.
Well, and here's the problem as I see it. I guess this is my show, so I'll tell you.
There you go.
We've got too many John Thunes and not enough Mike Lees.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And we've got some stories about that here in a little bit, but we've got too many people willing to say the right thing in all levels.
Yep.
Hey, yeah, we're with you. Let us just go on this 34-day vacation.
You know, this is July right now.
Yeah.
We had our primaries in March, and we had our commissioners out there running for election and such. And if we had the data center issue up in March, that people knew about it. And listen, folks, these data centers have been in work for 2 years. So we should have known about it. It would have been a whole different campaign. And we would have got better answers. We would have got better visibility, if we would have been in a campaign. But everything was silent until afterwards. And it wasn't until basically May, June, that these things started becoming real to us, because we're seeing gravel trucks move around. We've got, area being cleared for these sites and such. And we're just now finding out here in Bowie County, they think there might be 4 proposed data centers in
Is
just
that the
our
number
county.
now?
Yeah. And it's like, and I don't know if that's true or not, but they seem to think that's the consensus, that there may be up to 4 in the works. 2 of them are well along the way and 2 more are proposed. So we just don't know enough to get in front of these things. And we're always fighting a rear guard action and not up front. I've once heard it said, somebody once said, I'll defend the last inch of my property. And somebody else said, oh, that's just totally wrong. You got to defend the first inch of your property. Because if you're defending the last inch, you're done.
That's a valid.
And that's where we are.
That's a valid point. And look, my mind's not made up on these data centers.
I'm working on you.
I know, as is everyone. But I do try to present it from an honest position of.
Yeah, you're a big property rights guy, and those are pretty sacrosanct to you.
Yeah, but I'm also a big your rights don't infringe on my rights person, and so right. so and I can get there, but then I see this article in TXK today, that was about Domtar and about their ongoing emissions violations and how they're getting hit. Well, it's 8 years old.
Yeah,
which is my point about these data centers. Everybody's all worried about this. We have loud, noisy factories that could do damage to us. Not that they are, because they're very well monitored and regulated, but we have them already around us.
Yeah, but see, the thing is, just because one thing's there doesn't mean it has to be here.
Yeah, I get you.
And, people ought to have a right to say, if the people of Bowie County said, we want 10 data centers here and we're going to vote for it, and the vote says overwhelmingly, yes, you were going to do it, fine. That's the way the system works.
Right.
The community says, bring them on. But that's not what we're seeing. If you were to put data centers up to a vote in Bowie County, it would lose and lose badly.
I don't know.
Oh,
I know that's the feeling when you go to the meeting with 160 people mad about it, but I don't know that that's the case.
Well, I kind of see that everywhere I go, not just in social media, because you
can't trust social media for anything.
I talk to people at church and everything else, and this becomes now it's becoming part of the normal conversation.
Now, for sure, that has happened.
And some people, not everybody's against them. I get
right.
That.
Yeah.
But if you're out there in a property next to these guys, yeah, you're probably against it.
But one of the, where one of them's going, somebody that is a decision maker on that going there is building a house a mile from it. They're not worried about it at all.
Okay. For right now.
I get it, but I'm just saying, which makes me think either they've been dramatically lied to, which it's always a chance.
Yep.
I don't know. It would be hard for me to bet that over half the people are against it, just based on my conversations with people.
Okay. Well,
now there's a loud majority right now not majority. There's a loud number of people that are like, hey, we need to bring awareness to that, which is where I am. Let's have all the awareness. Let's have the rules to make sure that these companies come in and follow the law, protect the environment, protect our people. I'm okay with all that.
Well, you got to move it past just data centers. Now, if you've gone to all those people that you're talking to and they're like, I don't care, a data center, maybe it's a few more jobs in the area, maybe more tax money, benefits.
Right.
But if you say, oh, but you're on well water, what's going to happen there? Let's say, we've got two big water suppliers here, Texarkana Water, and you've got the Sulphur River, or Riverbend. That's right. And it's like, well, one of those two might not survive, and they might be taken over by the next. Do you want that?
Right. And that's kind of my thought on that.
People on private wells. What's going to happen to aquifer? I'm down 700 feet. If I've got to go down to 800, that's a major expense for me.
Right. I don't. This is all Zachology is. My voice just doesn't sound right. There we go. I don't know. I don't know. First of all, I don't know.
See, and that's the point. You don't know. We haven't done all the research yet. We don't know. We don't know what one data center does in our county. We don't know what 4 would do.
Right.
We just don't know because nobody's done the research except for the people who want them, and people who are looking at it from different aspects. Had a lady in there talking today at the commissioner's court. She goes, yeah, there's going to be more jobs here, but it's going to be filled mostly by outside people. All these construction jobs, they're not from DeKalb. They're not from Texarkana. They're from all over the region. They'll come here. They'll need places to stay. They're already building man camps. Rents will go up. A single mom with 2 kids who pays $1,000 a month in rent, who's just making her lease, comes up and they go, oh, we're going to take you to $3,000, $3,500 now because we have such a shortage in demand. She can't afford that. And nobody's talking about those costs.
Now, issues like that, I can be like, okay, we need to be paying attention here. But they're also going to shop at our grocery stores and they're going to get their haircut here and they're, and going to buy stuff here. So then there's that side of it too. Even if it's short term, there'll be that. But however, data centers need electricians. And so, at some point there's going to have to be enough electricians around here to service them. But everybody's not an electrician.
Are they?
You would think so.
I don't know. I don't know if that will be the local businesses or there'll be some corporate entity set up to where they have
an on-call type situation.
On-call guys where they send teams out to work issues at the different data centers that they're running.
I know a guy that owns an RV park, and a lot of the year, the people that live in that RV park are shutdown workers.
Right.
And so for the paper mill, so it's this, that's my point is it's the same thing that already happens.
Yeah.
Because these guys bring their campers in, they stay at RV parks and then they do their thing and they go home on the weekends and they're here.
Well, how many people are doing a shutdown for a paper mill?
Well, this one RV park has 20 living in it for the next, and then other RV parks. And so I don't know, but depending on what's going on.
But if you bring in 5,000 construction workers and all that infrastructure,
it's
for
an
the
issue.
Construction, it overloads.
It's 5% of our population as a county.
Yeah, and then it goes away.
Yeah,
so we're kind of left with the aftermath.
Right. No, I agree. Now I did watch. Was it this morning? Golly, it's already been a busy morning. It's only 11:30. It might have been late last night or as early this morning. I watched a video on how the closed loop cooling systems work in the most modern data centers. And I found that because I want to know. This matters to us with the water usage. Mm-hmm. Now, if we went Riverbend and all that, I don't think it would affect our aquifer because we pulled that out of our lake. But I can see where you could be. I'm not going to say that it won't. I'm just saying it would be less likely if we handled it that way. However, when watching these systems, they're pretty efficient now and getting more efficient. So I think your big water pool is your initial loadout on stocking it with water.
In this special that you're watching, did they tell you that they have to replace that water load every 5 or 6 cycles?
See, no, this one claimed it was 15 years.
Yeah, that's not true.
Okay.
Yeah, not even close. Plus, there's any kind of closed loop system, especially with water, you have biocides and everything else you got to keep introducing to it.
Okay.
There's bacterial growth. There's corrosion, chillation of different chemicals and other things in the water. It's very complex and it's very very costly to do also.
Okay.
So there's a lot more into that.
Okay.
You know?
Well, and I can get that, but you know, so maybe this thing is just wrong because I'm just going to trust you on this.
Well, let me ask you this. You know, let's say I forget how many millions of gallons of water that these data centers are supposed to take, but right there in Hooks, you know, or Red Lick, I guess, where
1.8 million gallons per loop.
Okay. And how often do they cycle that? Is that annual, monthly,
Right.
you know, daily?
Right.
You know, where they have this data center sited here in our county, where's the water coming from? I mean, they don't have pipelines out there for that volume.
You'd have to build the infrastructure.
Yeah.
Well, and that would be, it is my understanding that, you know, we're already needing or in construction of a Western water plant anyway, which we need because construction growth
Right.
has stopped because we don't have enough water for the western side of our county.
Right.
So that's just kind of my point is.
But that's more eminent domain. That's more taking people's property. You know,
That's right.
there's so much more in there. It just seems like we haven't had the time to think through all the ramifications.
Well, and that's what I like about what Chris Spencer said when he was here maybe 2 weeks ago. He said, "Hey, let's just give us 6 months to get a breath, just to kind of get our thoughts around it."
Exactly.
And I can be like, okay, I can be for that. That doesn't mean I'm against data centers.
Right.
It means I'm for maximum amount of information.
Well, and let me tell you up front to everybody, I'm not against data centers.
Right.
I just might be against a data center here or there.
That's how everybody is.
You
I'm
know?
not against BRAC until it comes to the base, right?
I'm an old nuclear weapons guy. You know, I worked in nuclear weapons complex, and I fought the NIMBY people a lot. You know, there's like not in my backyard, and you know, back then it's like, well, this is national security, and you know, they're making a case.
And it killed an industry.
It did. We wiped out nuclear power plants, but it wasn't because, I mean, it was a political thing, but it wasn't a technological thing.
Right.
And now with all the advances in technology on nuclear power plants, micro reactors.
We can put one in this room.
Yeah, you can put it on the back of a flatbed.
Yeah.
And power a military base.
Yeah.
You know, those things are changing. Times are changing. Technology is changing. Some of it not quite up to where the others are. You know, who's to say these data centers won't be obsolete in 10 years? Yet we've done all this. We've ruined all this stuff. We drove down property values for other places around them. And then, you know,
There's a lot to be considered.
What happens if they close down? Where are the decommissioning costs being set aside? You know, that's
something you got to look at. Do you need a bond?
Do we? I mean,
a company to put up a bond.
When I was in the last legislative session, worked for Brent Money, we put in legislation that says all the federal subsidies and all the local tax abatements, you got to put that in a separate fund for decommissioning. You know, that way, when you leave, no matter what the reason, natural disaster, bankruptcy, whatever, you have that money there to decommission the site, put it back to a greenfield. Nobody does that.
I bet that went over very well.
We never got a hearing.
Yeah.
I bet you get one now.
I bet you do. Well, you want to cover some articles we got going on?
Sure, let's go.
What else you got? Anything else? I mean, I feel like that's pretty the highlights of kind of what's going on around here. I don't know.
I mean, the thing that's really weighing on my mind a lot is just the red-green alliance that is becoming more and more powerful in our country.
Red-green alliance.
Yeah, the Marxists and the Islamists. You know, they are together. They hate each other, but they're willing to put aside their differences to take out you and me.
Well, the green alliance, the green side of it is.
Oh, so is a Marxist.
No. I meant the Marxist side of it is. The green side will just use it until time to kill them.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean that's the way that ends.
Yeah, that's what happened in Iran during their revolution. You know, the Marxist students and the
stood up with
the clergy. They got together. They're like, let's get rid of this evil state government. And then when they did, it's like the Islamists said, "Oh, we've got our courts and we're going to kill you all," and they did.
That's exactly right.
You know, the same with Hitler when he had his Nazi party and the Communist Party. They worked together until the Nazis took power. And they killed all the communists.
Yeah, or Mao.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same story no matter where you read it.
Yes, this is not a new experiment, guys.
King Saul killed all the babies because he was worried there was a new.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go anywhere in history and find that this is what happens.
That's right. I mean, America and our Constitution was the antidote to all this. And
Right.
they keep trying to tear it down day by day, election by election. Media's complicit with it. We've allowed our institutions to be infiltrated. And now our young people, they like socialism because they've not been taught anything else. We should be teaching the evils of communism in our schools.
Yeah.
But we don't do that.
You know,
Because we're enlightened.
one of my favorite songs that I grew up with my dad listening to, it was CDB, you know, Charlie Daniels Band.
Oh, yeah.
And Easy Rider.
Yeah.
You know, and he's like, I probably voted for McGovern or whatever. And then, you know, but I think about that song like, oh, they're just slamming this guy. But, you know, that's, people don't even know. People don't even know anymore.
You suck because I listened to that when I was a young man. Yeah, me and your dad, we got it. We had the best generation when it comes to music.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, let's go to what's going on in the Senate with the Save America Act. You can find this in many places. The Persistent has it. Eric Doherty has it. So we're on. John Thune has pushed to recess to Senate for what, 38 days, 34 days for August vacation. Now, listen, just let me. This is going to be some Ratliffology, some history. And so, you know, people can kind of like a graphic novel. You can, you know, find some truth in here somewhere. August recess originally happened in Washington, D.C. because it's in the South in a swamp and there were no air conditioners. So it was miserable inside those stone buildings and you couldn't stand to be there and it was just nasty and you wanted to get out of there.
Right.
So everybody went home. So now to have August recess now, how many of you listening can go to work and be like, you know what? It's hot.
I won't work today.
You know, I know one, you know, my buddy that works in Hope that listens to this show, he's going to be outside dealing with tractors and stuff all day. You know, I know a couple of guys that listen to the show that drive for, well, I don't want to say the name of the company, but for one of the chip delivery companies around here. And they're going to be in and out of their trucks, stocking shelves in convenience stores all day. Mm-hmm. You don't get an August recess.
Nope. You know, so, and part of that was also, and maybe I'm stepping on your thing.
No, go ahead.
Is to come back and campaign, you know.
That's right.
To keep the job that they got where they only work 3 damn days a week anyway.
Yeah. I mean, that's absolutely right. So anyway, so we're there. So somebody online over the weekend says, hey, you just need one senator to call for a roll call vote instead of just calling a unanimous decision. So Mike Lee stood up. He's like, I'll do it.
Yep.
I needed the roll call. So now it's up to Mike Lee, Rick Scott, Jim Banks, Ashley Moody, which I don't know her, are all saying, hey, this is we need this. And I saw, let's see, I saw earlier my X feed updated that I believe Lindsey Graham's sister is going to come out and say that she wants the roll call vote as well. But what they're doing is saying roll call. We don't want to leave until the Save America Act. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
The Save America Act is passed. And so it's going to put everybody on the record. Either are you really for this, and that's the pressure.
But you know what? They don't care.
They don't care.
Thune gives them all the cover they need. He gives them complete cover. And that's the role of leadership in the Senate and in the House. It's to cover their members from hard votes. It's their members. It's not our members, is it? No. It's not Texas delegation.
Yeah.
It's not the Alabama delegation.
Well, that thanks to the 17th Amendment.
Exactly. You know, and don't even get me going on the 17th Amendment. If you want to fix the Senate, get rid of the 17th Amendment.
Yeah, and then you probably hadn't had time, but the show that I released for today about fixing the U.S. House of Representatives with the Lois Kendall. Oh,
okay. No,
go. And for those of you that are listening to this and chose not to listen to that, go listen to that. It talks about the Act of 1929 where they limited the number of House representatives
Right.
you could have. And up until then, it had grown with the population. And so then there are people like, oh, we need 6,600 representatives right now. Well, if every staff member has 18 to 22, if every congressperson, House representative has 18 to 22 staff members, that's 8,800. So you get rid of all the staff and you put in your right number of representatives. There's still room in that office complex to have the exact number of representatives that we're supposed to have.
Well, you know, or take over an empty building in Washington, D.C.
Or do it from
Right.
the house over a computer.
Yeah. I mean, there are ways to do it. And you're right. We are not being well represented. The power of incumbency is incredible.
Yeah.
Back before 1928, I believe, the average term of a sitting U.S. congressman was 4 years.
Well, that's because it was, and there were a lot less people. But you know, if there were only
435 back then.
yeah, but you know that was based off of 30,000 people per representative. So just think now it's 750,000 people per representative. How many of those 750,000 people have ever met? You know, let's be honest. When I was at the radio station, got a call, said, "Hey, the U.S. representatives here is waiting on you." I said, "Well, calendar appointments for an hour from now. I'm out showing a house."
Yeah.
They're like, "You're going to make them wait?" I said, "Not my mess up."
Yeah, right.
Not you know, they're treated not that they shouldn't be treated with respect, but hey, I'm working. Because
Put your
you
pants
can't
on the same way they do, right?
Yeah, that's right. Because
I assume.
yeah, unless it's some weird way. Because your staff gave you the wrong time. I'm sorry. That sucks. That happened.
Right.
Doesn't have anything to do with me. And when I came in, I said, "Hey, I was gracious. Thank you for waiting." And he was gracious. Said, "Hey, that's my mistake."
Right.
You know. But I can't stop what I'm doing.
Right.
And you know. And so. But now it's kind of there's a godlike aura put around them when it doesn't need to be.
Well, it used to be you came in there and you served and you did what you could, and then you got out and you went on with your life. These guys, they become millionaires and billionaires, you know, serving the public.
Right.
You know, I think they just recently passed a no trading act in the House.
Mm-hmm.
Never see it in the Senate.
No.
You know, it's like,
Well, the Senate is the House's cover right now.
absolutely.
I mean,
Well, that's the way it is in the Texas legislature too.
Yes,
don't
absolutely.
forget, you know,
Yeah.
the Texas two-step's a real thing
Yeah.
when it comes to the House and Senate.
Oh yeah, we'll shove that through, and then the Senate's like, "Ah, you're here to die."
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, that's exactly. Let's see. So this update from Eric Doherty: the U.S. Senate will be out of town on recess for 84% of August unless recess is canceled to pass the SAVE Act. This means if enough senators do not join Mike Lee's effort to keep the Senate in session, the Save America Act is defeated and taking effect before the midterms. So I wonder what that number is.
Well, you know,
Is it quorum?
I don't know, but I tell you what, the SAVE Act is dead.
Yeah.
You know, because the Republicans and the Senate are fighting against it. Because you know, if they wanted something bad enough, they would pass something and they would find a way to do it.
How does it help the Republicans not to kill it? I mean, not to pass the SAVE Act.
Damn if I know. I mean,
That's my issue.
Where does it help the Democrats to kill it too? I mean,
well, the Democrats.
it's the same argument. Their people want it too. I mean, it is not a partisan issue, except they made it.
You're right.
Our elected representatives have made this an issue. It is not an issue amongst American people. It is a thoroughly contrived argument with the parties up there. And there's all the Democrats are against it except for Fetterman, and almost all the Republicans are for it except for a handful that says, "Oh, we just don't have the votes and we're not going to do it." I hate that logic. If we don't have the votes to pass it, we're not going to bring it up. I'm one of those. I would have broken it apart into individual things and said, "You get to vote on this, win or lose. Your name's going to go on record whether you supported, you know, ID, citizenship, mail-in ballot, whatever it is, part of that. Put your name down." But they don't. They say, "Not enough to pass it, so we don't get to vote on it." So everybody gets cover.
You know, it kind of reminds me of what happened on Saturday. Not to be disparaging, but it would have been really easy for me to say, "Well, I know the way this is going to go. I'll stand down."
Right.
as we all found out, and I already knew about myself, that is not who I am.
Right.
However, I accept what happened. I don't like what happened, but I will accept it because that the law was followed. Everything went the way that it should from that perspective. And so, okay, then we go fight another day. But it doesn't mean you give up at the front.
That's right. Yeah, you don't give up that first inch of ground.
Yeah.
Let me drop another nugget of wisdom on you. It's like, you don't only fight the fights that can be won, you fight the fights that must be fought.
Yeah.
That's what we are. That's what Americans are. That's what Texans are. The Alamo, 5,000 to 200, less than 200.
Everybody knew it couldn't be won.
Yeah, it couldn't be won, but they fought it anyway. They fought it to the last damn man.
Yeah.
That is who we are. And we need to do that fighting down to the end.
To have courage or to be brave, I said this to my daughter one day, you have to at first be worried or scared.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
If you're not worried or scared about anything, then you're not courageous or brave.
You're stupid or a psychopath.
Yeah. You're just going along with. That's right. There's that too.
Yeah, but yeah, if you're scared and you still do the right thing, that's bravery. Absolutely, that's courage.
But if you're just going along because I want this person to pat me on the hiney and tell me I did a good job, that's not bravery, and it's far from it.
Oh, it's the opposite.
Yeah, I don't know what that term.
It's I don't know either, but it's a form of cowardice.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see what else we got.
Okay.
Wall Street apes. This should horrify every American. Man tries to walk through Minnesota with an American flag, immediately gets harassed, threatened with physical violence. Yeah.
Well, I saw a thing about a street preacher in the UK getting attacked. I mean, literally attacked on the street.
Yeah, I saw that.
For preaching the word of God. That's, demons cannot tolerate that.
No.
And the evilness comes forward out of people. And they can't, if he's out there selling tractors on the street corner, people walk by and they don't care.
Yeah.
Porn. Porn. You start talking about the word of God, the demons that are in people come forth because they cannot tolerate the word of God.
Are we okay now with, I am okay with this. Here's the cultural shift that I'm seeing. We're more and more willing to talk about the reality of demons.
Yeah, I agree.
And maybe things had to go bad enough to get there.
Well, it's one of those things where common sense, basic humanity, whatever, tells you certain things shouldn't be done. And when you start looking at what is going on and you go, well, what's the deeper underlying cause of this and such? And, you go, how is it that people want to kill babies in the womb? How is it that they want to mutilate their children for an idea that they have, not their kids? And you go, where's all this, socialism? We've proven that it's killed hundreds of millions of people over and over and over again, yet they still it's like,
yeah.
What is the underlying, what? If the basic truth of the world, of the universe is God, that is the thing, you got to get down to that level.
Mm-hmm.
And you go, oh, it must be something opposed to that.
Right.
Demons.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. MAGA Voice has the one message on X.com. It's senators do not deserve a vacation.
They don't deserve a paycheck.
Let's see. We got Jonathan Turley. He's always got something good. This is a critical week as we've had everybody in politics since Trump has been sworn in. Raise your hand if you want J.D. Vance to utilize. I just don't. Yeah, why doesn't J.D. Vance take over the Senate? Is it just doesn't happen enough that, there has to be a political reason because he could.
Well, he can, but the thing is,
if it's still going to lose, it's not worth the capital, I guess.
Yeah, I think in that case, it probably is. It's not one of those fights that must be fought for him.
Right.
Because now, of course, the left would be up in arms. Yeah, this is the dictator Trump. They're trying to, run the Senate now.
Right. Okay.
And there's pros and cons to that, but
Right.
there's a lot more cons than there are pros.
Yeah, I mean, I'm good with that answer. Let's see. That's pretty much what I've got, Dale. Do you have anything that you can just...
Well, I mean, we're in the dog days, July and August, and people are like, okay,
starting to get warm.
It's hot. We got to start thinking about it, kids getting ready for school and such.
Yeah.
And the election's way, way down there in November. But you need to go out there and learn and figure out what's going on, whether it's data centers or flock cameras or anything else that's going on.
Or just go learn about these candidates. Go learn about...
Absolutely.
I mean, if you're listening to this, I figure if you're in Texas, you're voting for Ken Paxton. But you might not be. And if you're not, go look it up. Go look up James Tallarico. Go look up this lady that's running against Greg Abbott. What's her name?
Jen Mack?
Oh, no, I like Jen Mack.
Oh.
I'm talking about Hinojosa.
Yeah, Gina Hinojosa.
Yeah, go look up Jen Mack, too. Jen Mack Raffoon.
Go out there and look at these people and do your homework. I tell that to everybody all the time.
Yeah.
Now's the time to do that. Don't wait till the week of election and go, well, I wonder who I'm going to vote for. Yeah.
And look, I get it, man. We're, like I said, it's dog days of summer. Everybody's got stuff, right? And everybody's getting, your garden's probably coming to an end. It's probably to the point that it's aggravating now.
Well, we're growing, we're seeding, we're growing our new garden in seeds, from seeds inside, protecting them from the heat. But the old garden's got to
Have you planted pumpkins yet?
No, we don't. We're not a pumpkin guy.
Because I mean, it's about that time, isn't it?
It is. But we're going to do a new crop of tomatoes, a new crop of bell peppers, cucumbers, those type of things. And get ready for the fall growing season.
Man, one of my buddies gave me some pickled okra the other day. Golly, it was good. I've just been knocking it out.
Mary has put together half gallon worth of pickles. I'm going to be in pickles for all winter.
I love pickles.
Me too.
My daughter, especially if I come in from outside and my legs feel crampy or whatever, my daughter will look at me like, "You're just drinking pickle juice?" I'm like, it's the best thing you can drink right now.
Absolutely.
Well, all right, Dale, if you're done, I think I'm done, and we'll get out of here.
Absolutely. Sounds good. Glad to see you again this week.
Glad to see you. All right, everybody. I hope God blesses each and every one of you today.